freaking first cut. Golly.
Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gehman, and this is your recap episode for this week's Valspar Championship. Joining me to break it all down, Greg DuCharme is here. Hello, Greg.
What's going on, boys? Only one thing to say. What a week.
What a week, baby.
Although I think I should really adjust it. What a day. That was really a compelling finish to that golf tournament. And I did not see it going the way it went. That was kind of wild. Everybody had a really big moment in this tournament, and some handled it and most didn't.
I like how Greg avoided the spoiler there. People get very upset if you spoil the winner 60 seconds in. You have to wait a couple minutes before you spoil the winner. Kyle Porter is here. KP, we usually go live when the final putt drops. We went live when the final putts missed on 18 today.
We did. By the way, if you're watching a daily golf podcast and you don't know who won the Valspar, then I've got some other questions. Yeah, it was a weird. I mean, the Spieth experience is always just weird as hell, and today was kind of no different from normal, I would say. So, ton to talk about. Spieth might be back, depending on the hole. Who knows? We've got a guest in a couple weeks. You got match play, Schenk. Unbelievable last few holes. We haven't mentioned the winner yet.
No, we have not. We'll see how long that can last. Early round movers setting the table for the day. Greg, EVR. Erik van Rooyen goes out, shoots a 67 to move up 35 spots. He ends up finishing in a tie for 10th, and after a long, I would call it a slump, we are seeing some improved play from EVR. He had the T6 at the American Express, the T50 in Phoenix. He had a 32nd place finish at Puerto Rico, and now he's trying to get things going in the right direction again.
And he played some really nice golf this week. He looked really nice, especially tee to green. He was one of only 3 players this week to hit 50 greens of regulation. He actually led the field, hitting 51. Which on a golf course like this, you could see how difficult it was to get the ball on the green in regulation. And he had some really, really solid iron play throughout the entire week. But also what's important about this week for him and that green in regulation number is it has a lot to do with your tee shots, which isn't always the case. This week it was. I mean, if you were coming out of the rough this week, it was very difficult to keep the ball on the green. And he put the ball in the fairway quite a bit, enough to hit that many greens. So yeah, EVR, he's starting to swing really nice, and he's hitting it really well.
EVR was tapping in on 18 as the leaders were getting off the first tee. Sam Burns, KP, going for not 1, not 2, but 3 consecutive Valspar championships. It's going to look pretty good. Solo 6, thanks to a bogey-free 67 on Sunday. He moves up 19 spots, but in reality, I don't think Sam Burns ever really contended for this title.
No, he didn't, but he's only lost to 5 guys over the last 3 years at this golf course, which is pretty amazing. I think the bigger thing for him, you and I talked about this on Thursday, Rick, is figuring out driver. He has not been good since, where did his driver fail? At Riv, I think.
That is correct.
And he goes miscut, T35 at the Players last week. So just getting back into that kind of top 20, top 10 part of the board where he really should be, especially at a place at a lower event like Valspar is a good sign going into major season.
Yeah, speaking of major season, Sam Burns, Greg, not particularly great when it comes to major championships, at least at this point of his career. I think we've all, we expect a lot more out of Sam Burns in 2023 and in 2022 as we did in 2021 and 2020. So he's got to get right, because this is kind of an important stretch for him.
Yeah, those 2 years where he played really well, he happened to win the Valspar in both of those. He made some really big improvements in his game. Was always a really nice putter on the PGA Tour and drove the ball really nicely for most of the early stages of his career. But when he improved his iron play, he kind of accelerated to become a U.S. national team player, one of those guys that you would expect to contend in majors. And it was looking like the next step for him was kind of similar to a Max Homa, where you're really impressed with what he does in regular PGA Tour events, but you haven't seen the performance in the big ones, not in the major championships, and we're still waiting for that. But it seems like he took a step back for sure, and we're kind of waiting to see where Sam Burns is. So I don't think there's a lot of pressure on him heading into the majors right now. I think this is still a question of where is his game. And if he shows us another week like this, or if he plays really well at the match play or something, that pressure may increase a little bit. But I'm looking for Sam Burns to get back to Sam Burns' form of 2 years ago.
Sam Burns' best major championship finish. Anyone want to take a stab at that?
What is it?
What is it? That is the question.
I'll say it's not good.
I might be confusing him with someone else. Does he have a T13?
He does not have a T13.
Okay, that must be Max Homa or somebody.
That sounds right for Homa. Hold on. Burns was, let's say, last year's PGA.
Okay, last year's PGA. You want to take a stab? That is correct, by the way. Do you want to take a stab at what that finish was?
It's like T21.
Ooh, sorry. It's the Moops. No, 20th by himself. 20th by himself. Sam Burns. Pretty good.
That was a pretty good guess, Greg.
Really good guess. Are you kidding me?
I'm proud of you guys. 7. He has played 7.
Wait, why does Greg get credit for that? For my guess,
because Greg's a nice guy. Greg greased it for Greg loosened the jar. You just came in and opened it up.
No, that was your guess. I was commenting on your guess. Not
he eliminated Max Homa. He really greased the skids for me there.
Yeah.
So this is a little bit wonky data because you have to calculate it yourself and all that fun stuff, but it's generally pretty widely accepted. But Sam Burns has never lost strokes putting in a major, which is kind of a little fun stat we'll keep an eye on moving into this year. Okay, let's talk some contenders.
First of all, hold on. How dumb is it that we have to figure out our own strokes gained putting at majors?
I don't know. It's very dumb.
Imagine
that would be saying, hey, how many passing yards and touchdowns does Tom Brady have in his Super Bowl career? And we'd
you do the math.
I don't know.
If you've got a supercomputer and Bryson's sitting next to you, maybe you can figure it out.
Look, the data's right there. Get out your calculator. If you want to know, put in the work.
It's wild. Absolutely wild. Contenders. Tommy Ladd. Looking for, his very first PGA Tour victory. It was a 1-under 70. Birdie's the first hole, Greg. We're thinking maybe it's Tommy's day. Gives it back on number 3. Goes out in 1-under. The real debacle here, in my opinion, is what happens at 14. His second shot into the left green side bunker. It is in a horrible kind of downhill lie. He has to stand in an awkward position. He leaves it in said bunker. He ends up making bogey and plays his final 7 holes at 1 over to finish 2 shots off of the yet to be mentioned champion.
I will not mention the champion, but we did talk about Tommy Fleetwood taking 10 under last night. And that's
right.
That's the number that we thought he needed. And there's some truth. I mean, it would have gotten him into a playoff. And I don't think that 10 under was out of the realm of possibility for Tommy today. He did exactly what he needed to do most of the round. I mean, even he didn't really have his best stuff this week. He had a little case of the lefts going today off the tee. Some shots were overdrawn on him. He made some swings he didn't like. But he wasn't putting himself in terrible positions until 14. And on 14, he misses his second shot left. And it leaves that lie was not a traditional downhill lie. It looked, at least on the telecast, like the bank was very steep, just entering into the bunker and then kind of flattened out. And his ball was sitting right in the corner, which was just it's a terrible place to be. It's one of those shots that's you don't really know how to play it. I mean, it's almost like I'll foreshadow something. It's almost like you're up against a tree. You don't know how to really get your club on the ball. So that was disappointing. It just seems like there are always these moments for him where it all comes down to one shot, and that one shot has not gone his way on the PGA Tour at all. Perhaps he's a little bit tentative. Maybe was the next hole, the par 3, where he hit 9-iron. Probably should have hit wedge, hit it like 25 feet over the flagstick, which was a beautiful shot. But is that a little conservative with his club selection? I just wonder sometimes if, when is Tommy Fleetwood going to handle one of these really big moments? Because you can see that he's capable. And this was exactly the kind of event that I would expect Tommy to get his first PGA Tour win in. And the moment went the other way for him.
Well, I think what's interesting, I'll jump in here real quick, Rick. So I looked this up. Data Golf has it's called a pressure tool, where it shows like how players perform when they enter the final round of an event globally, not just PGA Tour, but in the top. You can set it to whatever you want: top 2, top 5, top 10, whatever. So I looked for Fleetwood over the course of his career. How does he perform when he enters the final round in the top 5 of a tournament? And it's not great if you look at sort of him compared to other big names. So he gains about a half stroke on the field when he's in that scenario, which sounds fine. But the problem is, unless you're like way out in front entering the final round, you're not gonna win the tournament that way, and that's an average. It's not, that's there. Obviously he's won tournaments. He's gained 5 strokes in the final round of an event or whatever. But if you look at it on the whole, compared to, I don't know, other guys that are sort of in his demographic, I would say it's not very good. So he's a half stroke. Spieth is only about 0.8 strokes when he enters the final round in the top 5. This is true strokes gained. So this is like adjusted to how good the field is. Ricky Fowler is actually 0.9. So he's ahead of Spieth. JT's 1.4. You start getting into Rory and DJ are 1.8. John Rahm 1.9. Tony Finau 1.9. How about that?
Yeah. And
then Bryson is 2.0. So Fleetwood, and listen, I'm comparing him to like really good players, but I think it's a fair thing because I think he's a good player, and he just hasn't really, on the whole, been that good in final rounds where he's kind of in contention.
When you said Bryson is 2.0, is that Bryson 2.0 or Bryson 2.0 strokes gained, or is it the second version of Bryson? Have we looked at that? Have we I'm sure we can go. So what are we got to do the deep dive of pre-bulk Bryson, post-bulk Bryson.
Bryson wins, man. I should have looked at Max Homa. I'll look that up here in a second. But when Bryson's in it, he wins golf tournaments. Now, he finished T44 at Live today, so that's not good. But over the course of his career, he's proven that he wins golf tournaments. I don't know what's happened to him. Like, I don't know what's going on right now, but he's in the Masters, right?
Yes.
Yeah, from the U.S. Open win. He's going to be 100 to 1.
I actually think I saw that he might be longer than that. I was shopping that earlier. I can pull it up and we could chat about it. But yes, he's the Bryson. I don't know how we got to the Bryson downfall, but the Bryson downfall is pretty crazy stuff. I'll pull up his number here. But Tommy Fleetwood finishes in a two-way tie for third. We'll get to that other guy here in just 1 second. But Adam Schenk, Greg, tasked with essentially being in the mix all week long, just having to sleep on it, having to try to break through, get across the finish line for his first PGA Tour victory. And I'll tell you what, pretty valiant effort here. Goes out in 35. He drills I want to make sure I get the number right here, 71-foot, 1-inch putt for birdie on number 12. To keep him in this thing, to keep himself in the mix. And then we get a little bit of disaster on 18 where by the time he steps to 18, a par will get him into a playoff with our eventual winner, and that left-handed shot breaks itself out.
Yes, this was something else. So before we get to the left-handed shot, he was really calm today. I thought the chip in at number 1 was a huge moment for him. It kind of took this, this final round event and gave him a really positive step in the right direction right away. And all of a sudden, instead of, Spieth catching him and tying the lead and it not feeling great after 1, he extends his lead to 2 shots, which was a big deal. And you could see it with him. It really calmed him down. After his first round, after the second round, he mentioned that he needed to clean up the ball striking a little bit. He was leaning a little too much on the putter. And he really did that for pretty much all of Saturday. And Sunday, he was really good tee to green for the most part. And then he added in some big kind of magical putts. You mentioned the one on 12, but he also, he made a big putt at 9 from 23 feet. He made a big putt at 17, after hitting it in the bunker with his second shot there. That was a huge putt. So he hit the ball well enough to be there, and he made the putts that it felt like these were winning moments. And there were probably 3 or 4 of them throughout the entire day today. And then he gets on 18 and hits a very similar shot to what Taylor Moore does, but his ball ends up right next to a tree. And that is the challenge and the difficulty when you play outside the bunkers. It can be a big advantage when you miss big, and it can also completely stymie you. So I really felt for him that it ended up in that situation where he just had no play.
So much so, Kyle, that him and his caddy were actually debating whether it would be better to take it unplayable up against the tree and just take your chances, or if he could turn the club around, nudge the ball anywhere, nudge it 10 feet, 20 feet, kind of up in a similar position. The crazy part is he takes a pretty good hack at this. There you go. We're watching on YouTube. Oh, that's pretty good. We're seeing it on YouTube here. He gets so much of this ball, he actually hits it through the fairway and into the opposite rough, giving him even a worse chance of getting up and down for par.
Yeah, well, it was probably a better chance than, because he would have had to drop it right there, right?
Yes. One club length behind where he's standing right there.
Yeah, so I don't know that it was a worse chance, but it wasn't what he wanted. Here's my thing with this, Rick. I was really impressed by his willingness to take this risk and keep the win on the table, because for somebody like Adam Schenk, finishing T2 in a non-elevated event is it's like not nothing, For Spieth, it's like whatever, it doesn't matter. But for Schenk, that's a real thing, and he was like, "No, I'm going for it," because how many times am I going to get this opportunity, and that moment, I think, tells you a lot about what kind of golfer and maybe person, I don't know, that's probably taking it too far, but what kind of golfer that player is. And he did it again on the green, because the putt he hit for par was going off the green, and it hit the hole. It kind of hit the stick. And both of those were the riskier, okay, I'm going for this type play. And I thought that was impressive. It sucks the way it ended for him. He kind of hung in with Spieth all day and kind of went at him a little bit, and he hit a bunch of putts, and it was a fun, cool day, and it just ended in about as heartbreaking a fashion as it could have.
Real quick on that, Kyle, it being not nothing, coming in second or tied second. He was 72nd in the FedEx Cup coming into this.
Top 70.
And with this, top 70 is a big deal now, right? Top 50 is a big deal. He jumps to 31st. But this has been discussed. It was discussed on the broadcast at length. But since some of you didn't watch it on the broadcast and just get it all from watching the first cut, which I appreciate, he is expecting a baby in April. So there may be a little bit of time off as well. And he doesn't know what these playing opportunities are going to be like after that. So very curious. But getting that big jump in the FedEx Cup, getting yourself into 31st, you got a little breathing room for making the playoffs and keeping your card. You obviously have more breathing room if you win because you get a 2-year exemption. But it's a big moment.
Yeah, speaking of that unknown schedule moving forward, this was week 10 in a row for Adam Schenk. So take that, Sung JM.
He always plays a lot too, by the way.
Yeah, he does.
He's a 30 plus kind of guy.
I've got a couple of nuggets before we move on to Jordan Spieth. First of all, let's add another voice here. Let's add Patrick McDonald. I've heard he's backstage. Patrick, hello, sir.
What's going on, guys? 30 plus guys. That's you guys, right? Not me.
Wow. Just coming in hot.
Yes.
All right.
Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. Also, to put a bow on Bryson's Masters number, well, it's all over the place. Sports books like DraftKings and Caesars have him at 55 to 1.
That's
Gentlemen,
Bryson for the Masters.
that is correct. However, if you are really digging Bryson, you should get on a plane and you should fly to Las Vegas because Circa is offering Bryson DeChambeau right now to win the Masters at 195 to 1.
I would take that. I mean,
I
can't.
I'll put $10 on it for you.
I can't imagine a more preposterous Masters than Bryson winning. I mean, it would be just a complete circus. It'd be amazing, honestly. But he won the US. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what he's doing, but the ability and the talent is there. It's probably a dumb bet, but 195 to 1 on Bryson.
Well, we're in on it. You and me. We're in on it for $10. We're gonna see if.
Thanks, Rick.
Yeah, no problem. See if Bryson.
What's it called? The pressure tool?
Pressure.
You base it on the pressure tool.
Yeah, he wins. I mean, I just need like, 50 holes out of him, and if he's in it, he's gonna be in contention.
Patrick, we're 22 minutes in yet. We have not yet said the name of the champion.
You can introduce him for us.
Oh boy.
We're not quite ready yet because we do have to talk about Jordan Spieth. And I'd like you to start the conversation here. And what a day for Jordan. So it felt like, and correct me if I'm wrong, Patrick, that when he walked this putt in for birdie on 14, it was over. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely did.
Out in 2 under. He makes another birdie at 14. And that was the moment that everybody was vibing. It looked like it was going to be a Spieth day.
Yeah, and then he followed up with kind of the nifty par save from the bunker, which, I mean, he was unbelievable all week on the par 3 15th. And then obviously the one that everyone will remember that he won't be able to sleep at night tonight, the tee shot on 16. I thought he might have been going for that little life raft in the middle of the pond there, trying to cut the corner a little bit.
Get a forward kick.
Mm-hmm. Maybe the mega bounce out there, but no, I guess not. It was still an unbelievable bogey.
We need to talk through 16 here. So as Patrick mentions, I mean, this ball is in the middle of the lake. No chance whatsoever, Greg. On that angle, it's basically, I mean, he gets to move up 40 yards and hit the same shot. And we get a unreal interaction where Spieth was, I mean, he was going to hit 9-iron up the fairway no matter what. And Greller kind of tried to say, hey, what do you think about hybrid? Trying to push it up there closer to the green. And then what I heard was Jordan Spieth say, I just got to have a chance. I just got to have a chance to be on in 2. He does hit the 9-iron to the middle of the fairway. He does hit it to the green to 14 feet, 7 inches. And he does roll in that bogey putt. It was a world-class bogey.
Yes. Before we get, I mean, I do find it interesting with that tee shot because he had some misses to the right off the tee all day long. I mean, he missed to the right at 6 big time, Kyle tweeted that out, a picture of where that ended up.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he missed way right at 6. He missed right at 7. He missed right at 9. He had a good tee shot on 11, but it ended up missing right. He missed right on 12, missed right on 14, and obviously missed right on 16. That kind of lead up, I was really worried about this tee shot. And I don't know. He just absolutely fanned it. It was worse than any of those other misses to the right. Maybe 6 is a close tie. But then he has this conversation with Greller, and he was, to your point, Rick, he was pleading with him. I just got to be in the fairway. I just got to be. I don't like hybrid. I just got to be in the fairway. Just tell me where to aim it, which I thought was. He really took control of that situation. He was confident in it. He stayed cool. He was going over the facts. He wasn't. At least it didn't seem like he was kind of living too much on the last shot. He was still in the moment. But then after he hit the fairway, you could hear on the mic. He let out it was like an ah. He was frustrated. I was like, wow, he's not happy about that for obvious reasons. But then pouring in the putt, you're thinking this could be magical.
There's such a level of insanity, Kyle, with Jordan Spieth, right? Where he is, just give me a chance, right? This level of confidence where if I'm anywhere on this green, I'll give myself a chance of making this putt. If I'm anywhere in the fairway, then I can give myself a chance of being on the green. So I don't really care what the options are, because if I have a chance, I'm alive here. There's something like deeply confident in that as the guy is taking his drop like 40 yards in front of the tee box.
There is. I was thinking about this during the round. I don't know if Greller should become a therapist or if he needs a therapist, but it's one of the two, because dealing with that all day, every day is just a mess. I think, I think I tweeted this out, but like Spieth is so, I think he appears to be so relatable because he plays golf like people think that they play golf. It's not actually true. He's been like one of the best ball strikers on planet Earth for the last 7 years, and even the last 2 years, his ball striking numbers are better than Brooks Koepka, Cam Smith, Matt Fitzpatrick, Tommy. I mean, like he's a really good player. It's just that the misses always seem like a safari, and I don't know if that's because the misses are massive or if it's because there are so many conversations with Greller, but for whatever reason, he just appears to be relatable. So he becomes this sort of amalgamation of relatability, but also like elite play. And it's the most compelling thing to watch in golf, I think. I mean, it's not as alluring as like when Rory or Rahm or somebody like that is kind of like feeling it. And it's not as smart, obviously, as what Scottie Scheffler does, but it's so compelling. I mean, it is just like you can't stop watching it. And this was all just the lead into Augusta. I mean, people should go read the replies to my tweet of like, what's Spieth going to do at Augusta? Because they're completely insane and all of them are in play.
A bogey on 18, which included a miss from 3 feet 8 inches that cost himself $250,000, but that does not matter to Jordan Spieth, Patrick. And let's talk about that lead into Augusta National, because to T6 in Phoenix, he missed the cut at Riviera, T4 at Bay Hill, T19 at the Players, another close call here at the Valspar. We are trending as we get to the most critical time of the year for Jordan Spieth.
He's really got to like where his game's at. I don't know about kind of this change the schedule where I assume he's not playing Valero because I would put him at 6 straight because he's playing next week as well.
Yeah, he can't be.
Yeah.
Didn't somebody is JT skipping next week? Who's skipping?
Yeah, JT's out.
That's crazy.
So I think the volatility, which Spieth, it's kind of inevitable, but it's a good thing because you're getting glimpses of vintage Spieth. At the API, it was the putter that let him down on the back 9, obviously, but he had that magic on the front 9. Today it was that swing on 16. But the putter, for the most part, outside of 17, the one he kind of just didn't hit. I was shocked by the speed of that putt. He like tried to drip it into the front of the hole when I thought he was going to hit the back of the cup. But you're seeing parts of his game kind of rise up to the occasion in crunch time. While some are faltering, a lot are rising. I loved how he putted for the most part today. I loved how he struck the ball at the API. His short game at the API was really good as well. So you got to think, right, with Augusta National, it's kind of his playground. He'll be in with a chance. But let's remember, this was Adam Schenk. This was Taylor Moore. These aren't top 10 players, top 20 players in the world. So his game's going into the right spot at a place where, you know, he's made his hay throughout the years, but there's a lot of other big guys out there who are still playing better than him.
The other guys, sorry, Kyle. It almost seems with Jordan, like the other guys that he's playing against it doesn't matter. Jordan more than anybody else, it seems like it's Jordan versus Jordan. And
for sure,
if Jordan can play well, he can compete with Scottie Scheffler. I mean, he could be the worst guy to play against when he's playing well on the PGA Tour, because he has just this flair for doing things that are so unexpected. Where with Rory and Rahm and Scheffler, they do what you expect them to do, and they just do it a lot, and that's why they're hard to beat. Jordan does things you don't expect him to do, and that's why he's hard to beat. But Jordan can also beat himself, and those guys don't seem to do that as often.
The thing I was going to say real quick to wrap this up is 5th straight tournament in which he's gained strokes with his irons, and this was actually this was the second worst of those, and he gained over a stroke a round. So unless it's like a 2-month anomaly, he's like locked in with his iron play. He's operating at a like top 20 in the world type iron player, which has always been his calling card. The 25-foot putts get all the attention, and they get Azinger really excited. But it's the iron play. It's the 180 shot. It's the 200 shot that he's so underrated with. Greg, the thing that worries me, both from a statistical standpoint and just from watching it, he looks like he is like trying to save everything off the tee. Like he's just like, he's kind of bouncing around like right after he hits it. And even just his head is moving a lot. I don't know if you noticed anything there, but it just does not look, it's never looked great, I guess, with Spieth off the tee, but it just seems even more than usual. Like he's a little bit lost with knowing where the tee shot's going.
Well, I did think that Friday's round, it looked very different than what you're describing now. Friday's round, I felt like there were a lot more quick tee pickups, a lot more balance through the strike. He was starting the ball a little more to the left, so he wasn't losing it to the right. It looked like he was in the positions he wants to be in. Today, he started to get into some what I would consider old habits. He started missing to the right. I mean, you think back to 2016, I know none of us really like to do that, but you go back to that Masters when he hit it to the right at number 12 into Rays Creek.
Why are you doing this?
He also
you don't have to do this.
No, keep going, Greg.
He missed to the right the entire round leading up to that. The good news is it was with iron play as well. I mean, he hit the tree at number 4. He almost hit it out of bounds. He hit it right of the fairway bunker on number 8. He hit it right at 11. He hit it right all over the place leading up to that. So the good news is at Augusta National, you can get away with that much more so than left misses. So I mean, the glimpse that I saw on Friday gives me a lot of hope heading into Masters.
Jordan Spieth will card a final round 70, 8 under par, 2 shots off our champion, which if you are a keen listener, you heard his name there. Patrick broke the seal at the 30-minute, 51-second mark. While all this was happening, while all the Adam Schenk and Tommy Fleetwood and Jordan Spieth madness was happening, it was Taylor Moore who made birdie on 9, birdie on 12, birdie on 15, birdie on 16, played his final 10 holes, Patrick, in 4 under par to post 10 under and get the opportunity to sit in the clubhouse and see if anyone could catch him. Spoiler alert, they could not.
Man, I was really hoping I wouldn't be the first one to touch on Taylor Moore, but I guess I kind of deserve it after the opening. But he kind of reminds me of a bit of an NPC, a non-playing character. Like this whole time, we all thought that Adam Schenk or Jordan Spieth was going to win. I had 2 different leads for the wrap up at CBSSports.com, and boom, Taylor Moore, all of a sudden, your winner after Schenk hits it against the tree. Spieth blows one into the water. But the way he finished, I mean, you got to give him kudos, right? The birdie or the tee shot on the par 3 15th was a laser to 5 feet. And then the 25-footer from the left side of the rough. I think he was in the rough on 16, not the trees quite.
He was.
To set up birdie there was very impressive. And then we saw it with Garrick Higa. They kind of showed it on the broadcast earlier. That putt from the front of the green is not easy. And he hit it to just inside 6 feet and dead centered, middle of the cut. So to play your last 10 holes at Innisbrook in 4 under is really good golf. You're golfing your golf ball there. And he did that. And I think he went through some injuries, I want to say, in his mid-20s. That's why he's only a second-year guy on the PGA Tour who's 29. And so it's good for him, but he's kind of the stereotypical middle-class, lower-class type of guy on the PGA Tour. He entered the week 103rd in the official world golf rankings, was outside the top 50 in the FedEx Cup points, and now all of a sudden you win. He's ahead of Rory. He's ahead of Cantlay. He's ahead of Morikawa. He's inside the top 10 of the Comcast business, whatever you call it, inside the FedEx Cup. So he's really set him up for a really good, fun summer, right? Invitation to the Masters, all this type of stuff. So that's what winning can do.
Yeah, that's right. That is inside the top 10 of the Comcast business, whatever you call it, inside the top 10 of the FedEx Cup standings, his second 67 of the week, Greg. And I like what Patrick said there because, we saw the putt that he had to hit up 18, which was kind of swatting balls back all day. It was that moment. There was the moment on 15, the moment on 16, where I was waiting for the wheels to fall off. I was waiting for the mistake to happen. I was waiting for the bogey to come. We saw it with everybody else. It never came. It was a pretty impressive stout finish from Taylor Moore.
It could have happened twice on 18. I mean, he hit the same shot Adam Schenk hit off that tee. He very easily could have been completely blocked out or had to pitch out sideways or had to lay up. And he's able to hit a great shot in there that almost gets up on the top level. I mean, it ends up rolling all the way back down. And, like Patrick mentioned with Garrick Higa, and this has happened before in the past, you can make a mess from short of that green with that back hole location. So, it was very impressive, very clutch. The nerves on the greens. He looked so calm. Even after he won, he was so calm. Right, asking his fiance if she's happy. It was very, very. I guess
I didn't see that part. Was it like passive aggressive? Like finally happy?
No.
You happy now? I finally won. You happy? Does this
No.
make you happy?
Is that what you wanted?
Lucas Glover situation.
No, not at all. It was very sweet, but it was very calm. It wasn't like a guy that just won his first time on the PGA Tour. He was far from tears, and that's not always the case. But he has a sweet golf swing too, and so there's one side of me that's saying, okay, he's never been here before. It's only his 46th start on the PGA Tour.
Yep.
I'm thinking, yeah, there's probably going to be a mistake. We've seen great players make mistakes on the final 9 holes at Innisbrook many times, and Taylor Moore is likely going to make one of those. And if he came close to it, he didn't. But then on the other side of that, I'm thinking this guy has a sweet golf swing. He is a lot better than his numbers look. And he showed that last year. I mean, he made it to the BMW Championship last year as a rookie. So he's no joke. He didn't really fit into this picture for most of the day. And all of a sudden, It's not Spieth winning. It's not Fleetwood winning. It's not Adam Schenk winning. It's Taylor Moore, which kind of comes out of nowhere.
Taylor Moore. Go ahead.
Where do you have him ranked, Rick? In your.
Boy, I'd have to pull it up. Give me a second.
Okay, you can pull it up while I'm talking. Oh, you want me to talk right now?
Yeah, that would be ideal, right?
Taylor
Moore.
He was, I think, 52nd in data golf, a lot lower than that in the OWGR. But I think what that gets at is like and this is what Greg was saying, is he's a good ball striker. He's sort of in that weird middle space between, like, if you look at his performance on the Korn Ferry, he kind of dominates. Like, he's really good. He was really good 3 years ago on the Korn Ferry, and he's been like, he's had some kind of, he'll pop up at certain events or have some good performances, but he's not in that. He's like a tier 4 player, a tier 3 player, however you want to break it up. He's just not in that. He's sort of where Schenk is in terms of like a little bit on the, okay, am I going to be in that top 50 going into 2024? Am I going to be able to be in those elevated events? He's that kind of player, which is obviously a really good player, but can you, and that's what I think that's part of the reason, Rick, that these events are sort of interesting is like, can those guys play their way into some of the elevated, designated, whatever events going forward? That's obviously not the formula for this year, but if this was 2024, that would be a kind of a preeminent storyline.
Correct. Right. So I have Taylor Moore 66th, by the way. So close-ish on, what'd you say?
52 or I don't know, something like that.
Yeah. So, right. So really, for next year, Patrick, if this was, let's say, the first event of 3 non-elevated events, Taylor Moore would obviously all good. He won, no problem there. But like Adam Schenk would now be in the driver's seat. Tommy Fleetwood, if he weren't already qualified, or like Wyndham Clark or Matt Wallace or Cody Gribble or Erik van Rooyen would now be trying to build this momentum for the next couple of starts so that they could get into these elevated events.
Correct. Yeah, Cody Gribble. Do you guys talk about him? That would have been a cool story there. But yeah, it kind of just makes these guys' palms a little bit sweater down the stretch, knowing that, okay, if I connect with a top 5 finish here, maybe parlay that into another one next week, that could be enough to have the 3rd most FedEx Cup points. So I'm guessing it's top 3 outside the 3 winners is how it's going to be.
Probably top 3 outside of anyone who's already qualified, and the winners would already be qualified.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, so it really does make, just imagine if, he is qualified, but if Jordan Spieth wasn't qualified and he misses that putt like that on the 72nd hole, like that, those kind of moments will have a whole new meaning next year with kind of the cadence of the schedule and playing into these designated events.
Taylor Moore, 2023 Valspar champion, first win in his 46th PGA Tour start. Congratulations. He lists his 3 favorite professional sports teams as the Oklahoma City Thunder.
He's from Edmond.
Yes.
Basically Oklahoma City.
And he went to the University of Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
So Oklahoma City Thunder, the Dallas Cowboys. So Kyle, that's fair, right? Because that would be the closest. That would be like the closest professional football team to him.
Most people that are from Oklahoma City, their favorite basketball team is the Thunder and their favorite football team is the Cowboys.
Okay, so I'm on board so far. The 3rd team.
Let me guess. I haven't seen this.
You can guess, but you could not possibly guess the answer to this.
Is it an American team?
Well, okay, I've just been stumped in guess who. Like, this is like a great question to ask in guess who, because I have to say no.
Okay, I'll say the Tottenham Soccer Club.
All right, I'm gonna go with the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Ooh, okay, Greg.
Blue Jays.
Oh, I had that one in my mind, but that's just because Patrick said Toronto. I will go with the Seattle Kraken.
Joe,
not an American team.
Seattle is in America.
You said non-American. You know what? I missed that part.
This is like when you said, who do you guess was on the Ryder Cup team?
Steve Pate. I don't know.
No,
Steve
no.
Jones. Who was it?
Somebody like that.
Steve
Bryson
Flesh?
DeChambeau.
No,
Steve Flesh. Steve Flesh.
Verplank? Yeah,
Steve
yeah.
No, it was Steve Flesh.
Yeah, it was.
The Toronto
Yeah.
Blue Jays is the answer. So
Oh,
his favorite pro sports teams: Oklahoma City Thunder, Dallas Cowboys, Toronto Blue Jays, like any good Oklahoma City kid would.
sure. Yeah, big Vlad Jr. guy.
Yeah, what could that possibly be? Like he went to Toronto on a field trip when he was 11 and fell in love with the I don't even how could that happen?
Maybe the Blue Jay is just his favorite bird.
There you go.
Yeah, I like
Joe
that
Carter?
angle, Greg.
Yeah,
Joe
I just
Carter?
love Blue Jays.
Mm.
You never know how kids come up with their favorite teams. It can be a bizarre thing.
Yeah,
And then,
I mean, like,
and then they love them for the rest. Like whatever bizarre thing your child brain came up with, that's now the next 70 years for you.
Yes.
yeah, my kids love the Vikings and the Bengals because Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase do the gritty.
right.
And they're gonna like my kids will like the Bengals when they're 33 and not remember why.
Right.
Well, hopefully you can remind them so they have to tell people.
Yeah, I'll
because
be-
Jamar Chase did the best gritty of anybody I've ever seen.
Yeah, Jamar Chase is gonna be like 55 years old doing the gritty, and they're like, "That's why I love the Bengals." Doing the gritty at the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Somebody in the chat said people in Toronto don't even care about the Blue Jays.
Did you see that home run yesterday? By the way, Rick.
By Trey Turner.
Yeah,
Newest Philadelphia Philly. Yes. That's pretty dirty, man. Dude, the World Baseball Classic is sick.
Yeah, I love the discourse on it too.
Yeah.
it's a little live adjacent, right? The discourse.
Very.
There's a lot of pro and anti. It's
Yeah.
just funny to watch.
Has it gotten just mega political like Liv has, or no?
I don't know. I've seen some people calling other people clowns here and there. Some big
Nice.
J's, a lot of blue check marks going at it, especially with the injuries. I think Altuve just got hurt.
did he?
Oh, really?
I didn't see that.
Yeah, and then the Mets
It's
guy
probably
too.
more that than political, right?
I saw
I mean,
the
why are these guys playing before the season kind of thing?
Well,
much, yeah.
I mean, that can be Greg. Like, if we've learned anything from the internet, it's that anything can be political.
yes.
Yeah, you're right. And everything on there is true.
Yes, yeah.
It is.
Anything else, Valspar, before we recap our best bets and one and done?
I think there will be some more Valspar that comes up in those, because there were some crazy things that happened in our bets.
Yeah, there really was. Okay, well, let's get to it. But first, we're going to take a quick break and hear a word from our partners.
Get breaking news,
Big news coming out of the NFL today.
highlights, and instant reactions.
The largest final round comeback in tour championship history. We're down to the final four.
I just want to take time to analyze greatness.
Talk winners and losers with a guy who's already a big winner. CBS Sports HQ. It's all sports all day long.
Should I tell my kids that me and Jamar Chase are in a commercial together?
You look good there.
Thank you.
I'm pretty sure. So it's not a commercial, but they're running a promo during March Madness that just comes across the bottom, and I'm pretty sure you're in that one too.
Wait, across the bottom of like the
basketball games.
What
So
do you
like
mean
it's like a lower third,
on the yeah. Okay.
and it just plays through. I'm pretty sure I saw you in that one too.
Great. Maybe my kids saw it. They're in there watching it right now. So
All right. Well,
that's the only thing they're proud of me for. So
being on the 1 second commercial.
they're like, Dad, you're in the Netflix show. You're famous now. I'm like, this is like literally what I do all day, every day. But if you're on a screen, you're famous. So
Yeah.
whatever.
Well, I told you my mom thinks I'm on TV every single night, right? She's like, Rick, I saw you on TV. I'm like, no, you watched me on YouTube on
You
your
saw me
TV.
on a TV. Yeah, exactly.
But thank you. All right, let's talk some best bets. These were, well, first of all, let's just start with the outrights. We were smothered in Jordan Spieth outrights. Mark, Greg, myself. Greg, would have been nice to hit this one. We did not.
No, and it all comes down to a tee shot at number 16, which was really disappointing. But you know what? There was no way that you could say we should have had Taylor Moore in here. So It is what it is. We lose this one. But a couple close calls. You see Tommy Fleetwood's name on there a couple times, which is great. So, yeah, tough pill to swallow without the Spieth win.
Yeah, I'll just kick it right to you, right back there. You had Tommy Fleetwood top 20 plus 125. That's
Nice.
That was pretty much no sweat. He was inside the top 20 all week.
Yeah, he played great. Again, I thought it was a great fit for him. Not in my outrights, because exactly what happened is what I was worried would happen. He would just find a way to not win. But everything kind of lined up really nice for Tommy this week. And this was a really nice performance from him. I just think he leaves kind of heartbroken, and broke anybody who had him in an outrights hard as well.
We got 3 out of the 4 matchups correct. I had Tommy Fleetwood over Brian Harman. Greg had Davis Riley over Brian Harman. We picked on Brian Harman. Mark had Benny On over Johnny Vegas. Those were 3 winners. KP, I don't want to bring up your loser here, Justin Thomas over Jordan Spieth, but I do want to check in on, like, what is our temperature on Justin Thomas at this point?
Yeah, I'm not really taking any questions at this time about my picks here. I don't know. I mean, listen, JT hit it better than Spieth did this week, so make of that what you will. I think I don't know what the putting issue is. I don't know. Have we seen him talk about that, Patrick?
I've not. No.
He is not. He putted it horribly at the Players last week. Wasn't great this week. It was better, but to me, it's a putting thing. I mean, he was top. What did he finish? T10, T11, something like that.
Yeah, he actually right. I mean,
T10.
Yeah, T10. I mean, it's great, but it feels so far off from what you would want to see out of him.
I think he's a little bit in that space where if he starts contending and like maybe he wins, let's say match play, or well, I guess he can't win match play. Let's say he wins RBC Heritage, and you kind of look back and you're like, oh yeah, JT's been playing pretty decently. I guess he's been hitting the ball decently, you know. But because it's JT, anything that's not a top 5 feels bad, you know. And I think that's kind of, I say that off the top of my head. He was top 5 in Phoenix, top 10 here. I think those are his 2 best of the last 2 months. So it hasn't been as consistently great as you would expect from JT. And I don't feel great about him going into the Masters. Like, I'm not going to pick him to win Augusta, but I don't think he's playing as bad as it maybe feels like he is.
Okay, fair enough. The other,
I will say on this putting, he's using that. He's using the putter. It's called a gooseneck. It's the putter he used to win like most of his career. He's used this putter most of his career. Last year when he won the PGA, he switched to one with a different neck, which is what's called a plumber's neck. And that is designed to help him miss putts to the right, to stop that. And I saw him hit probably 12 putts this weekend, and every one missed to the right. So we're back into that space. But
that's a deal, right?
That exactly. That's what he does. But he's won a lot of tournaments doing that, you know, in that same pattern. So it's not the end of the world. It's just that's what's happening right now. He's missing putts to the right.
I'm pretty concerned about him in general. I know Kyle brought up those 2 starts, but those are kind of his 2 best dating back to last summer too. So maybe he's slowly getting there, but it's like I said last time, I just think he might be starting to put too much pressure on his iron play because he's not making a lot of putts. And then you see it with the around the green numbers have been unbelievable, but I don't know what to think of Justin Thomas, but it's not very highly at the moment.
Well, this is what we talked about on Thursday, Rick, where Patrick Spieth was talking about this on Thursday of like, hey, when I'm putting it well, I don't feel like I have to hit every iron shot to 10 feet. He didn't say 10 feet, but that's sort of what he was like, the implication there. And, you know, we talked last week after the Players about how JT knows he has all these shots. And I think sometimes he either wants to show you that he has them, or he feels like he has to hit them because the putting is not maybe like, he's not as confident with his putter as maybe he would like. And so I think it's a really good point. And I do wonder how much of his relative struggles are due to like putting pressure in other areas of his game because he's not putting it that well.
I'm not as concerned about his game and the stats and all that stuff. I am a little bit more concerned about he looks very frustrated on the greens. I mean, every putt he misses is very animated. It's a lot. Mark and I talked about this a little bit earlier in the week. Just a lot of energy being put there. He looks very frustrated, which I don't like. But the rest, the actual statistical side of it, and the way he's playing, I'm not super concerned about. But man, you can tell it's eating him up. So
one other thing on JT, I think lengthening hole number 13 at Augusta National, I don't think there's any player in the field at the Masters who benefits more from that than Justin Thomas.
Yep.
So I just, this is in my head looking at some pictures of Augusta National the other day. I'm like, this is going to simplify things for him on this hole that has been his nemesis. So maybe that frustration and fire with a couple of weeks off can come back in the form of motivation and determination. Maybe it ends up being a good sign.
I also saw something in the comments after last week's episode. You know, him and Bones only have one win together, which was the PGA Championship, where he had to come back from 7 strokes, needed a lot of things to break his way. And do you think Bones' prior experience with someone like Phil, who would also hit some out of this world shots, almost hinders his ability with JT to, you know, maybe talk him off certain spots or whatever it may be?
Like what do you mean?
Like he just does, like JT's like, all right, I'm going to hit this butterfly fade 30 yards.
They always have the craziest names.
Is that a formal name or what?
I have no idea. I meant butter, and then I was thinking about butterfly with sore feet. It all just congealed into one.
I like it.
But when it first started, everyone was like, "Oh, Bones and JT, they're going to win 1,000 times together," and it's only been one win, and it's pretty shocking, I think. And
yeah, think about Ted Scott and Scotty Scheffler, who switched at the same time, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so I wonder if Bones' experience with Phil, I'm not saying it is, I'm totally projecting and just putting it out into the ether, almost like hurts JT. You know, he doesn't really have a stern guy talking him off the ledge sometimes.
Or he doesn't have he doesn't have the putter to make up for the decision making. I think could be some of it as well. Where else are you going to get butterfly fade and plumber's neck?
Can't get it anywhere
What
else.
other podcast?
Can't get it.
We should rename this podcast the Plumber's Neck.
That's actually not bad considering every other possible golf term is already a golf podcast. Plumber's Neck, I believe, is available, so that would actually be.
We'll have to double check.
To get some plumbers in here too in the audience.
Naming things is like, I remember when we were trying to name this podcast, and it was like every name is stupid.
Yeah,
like everything sounds, and that's just. I think that's just how things go. Like you hear the Washington Commanders, you're like, oh, that's dumb. But then 5 years from now, you'd be like, oh, yeah, the Commanders, they're 9-8.
Yeah, it just becomes part of the conversation, and everybody forgets about it and moves on.
Yeah.
One and done. Yes, let's recap the one and done. We had some decent movement here this week, so we'll pull up the board and we'll reveal the update. Hopefully. Yes, here we go. Okay, so Greg. Unfortunately, we're going to start with you. Now, it's not super unfortunate because you had Tommy Fleetwood and he got you $447,000, which ties for winning the week, but you still remain at $3.8,800,000 behind Patrick.
Yeah, it's I was thinking about it the other day. I think Josh pulled it up on Saturday during our podcast. We were talking about something else, and I was, if Tommy Fleetwood wins, I might catch Patrick. It is just unbelievable to me. I've got to start doing things next week, big time. I need some big paydays, and I think they're out there.
What kind of things are you going to start doing?
Like picking winners of designated events.
That would be good to start. Yeah.
Yeah. Instead of, I was in I think in Sia's position. And I had Max Homa at the Players. He came in tied 6th. I think. And I had Tommy Fleetwood this week, who comes in tied third, and I fall from like fourth to last, which is just so the picks have been good. I need to do it in the right events, and I need to win. Given I'm $6 million behind.
Yeah, that's the problem. If you average, what you're averaging right now, you're going to win the year. But the problem is you're $6 million behind.
Yeah, that's a big problem.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, Patrick, you're up next. Now, for those checking in and wondering what happened here. So Patrick picked Keegan Bradley on Tuesday's show. Keegan Bradley withdrew on Wednesday, and Patrick was able to replace him, as has been standard in the rules for the entire
generations.
Yes, of this podcast. So no foul play here. No need for an asterisk. Patrick, you got yourself Sam Burns, which ended up being a pretty nice little backdoor couple $100,000 here. The full amount is $293,625 to move you to $4.6 million.
Pretty nice indeed. A little bit unfortunate that Keegan withdrew because we all knew he was going to win this tournament, but I will gladly take a sixth place finish from Sammy Burns. And Greg, I'm in the same position, and this time of year, it's going to get weird. I don't know how to attack the match play. It's been a thorn in my side many, many years. So I don't know if it's going to get much. It might get a little bit worse before it gets better for me personally. Maybe I'll be in the basement after next week. But after that, once major season rolls around, we'll get things going.
$4.6 million for Patrick. Kyle, 5.3. Kyle, you will have to speak for the fans. You'll have to speak for Mark Immelman. And you'll have to speak for yourself, because all three of you had Adam Hadwin, who failed to make the cut and in turn earned $0.
I regret nothing. I'm still not taking questions at this time. Yeah, he did. I mean, not great. He was. I think the thing that's frustrating is he's playing well. He plays good at this golf course. He's driving it well coming in, and then he just misses the cut.
He played well on Thursday. He was 2 under. He was like in 12th place. It was happening. Everything was happening.
I looked it up I was off on Friday. I had the day off on Friday. I looked it up, and I was looking for the Canadian flag, and I just kept scrolling, and I finally saw one, and it was Nick Taylor, and I was like, what happened? I think he shot 75 or 76 on Friday.
76.
What happened?
What happened?
He did a walk and talk on Friday.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe shouldn't do that next time.
He made a birdie on that hole.
Those are great. I love those.
He made a birdie on that hole. Unfortunately, he made a triple out of the gate on number 2, which kind of derailed the whole thing. He was 4 over through 4. So yeah, things weren't great to start for Adam Hadwin. Let's see, where do we go next here? Sia had Tommy Fleetwood, 6.3 million. Kyle M, pretty stud pick here for Kyle M, who's been quietly matriculating up the leaderboard, Patrick. Now Kyle M took Wyndham Clark and got 332,000. He is solidly in third at $6.9 million.
That's a huge value play there. Probably one of the better ones of the year. Second to Greg's Justin Rose pick at Pebble Beach.
Yeah, no kidding. The Wyndham Clark is a really good pick. He's been playing well.
Yeah.
Kyle M, I want to see what kind of run he's on here, because he started off slow. He only had 288,000 through his first 5 picks, and in his 6 since 6.6 million, averaging 1.1 million a week for the last 6 weeks.
He's given us the blueprint, Greg.
Yeah, that it's doable. It's there. I wanted to just bring up one thing. We talked about this last night, Rick, with Wyndham Clark. His best, so he did it again. His best 4 iron play weeks have come in the last 5 weeks. And this is now, I think this is his second best of his career. And so now he's got his best 5 in the last 6 weeks. He's got something really grooving with the iron play.
He found it. I had Tommy Fleetwood Mark had Adam Hadwin, so I did make up a little bit of ground, $400,000 on Mark. I'm at 8.3. Mark is at 9.9. There is a lot of money on the line next week at the match play. We will be going every single day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That is what every single day means. So stay tuned for that. We'll be doing our day-by-day recaps, round robin for the first 3 days, then the elimination stages. We'll talk through all the implications and all the craziness that will be going on. Before I sign us off, gentlemen, anything else for this week, or would you like to chat about anything on next week?
We should do a bracket challenge of sorts for the match play.
Okay, so we have a couple of options here. So I don't know if you know this, Patrick. You and I haven't. We still have time to get closer. But
Ooh.
I am currently. So last year, Rick Rungood, my alter ego, hosted the largest private bracket challenge on PGA Tour.com's website. All the Rick Rungood people got together and we had the largest bracket challenge. So you guys are obviously more than welcome to join that. Or what we could also do is a little first cut one, have a little password, let people get into that and do it that way.
Okay. First off, thank you for the invitation.
You're welcome.
We're extremely grateful for it. I'm down to do either. But
This is
as
like
long
getting
as
your
we
it's like getting your master's invite in the mail. The rickrungood.com. Yeah.
It honestly kind of felt like you run into like your neighbors at the grocery store and you see them picking up beer or wine and they're like, "Oh, you're having people over? I guess you can come over too." Or the master's invitation.
All the same. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll get a bracket. We'll get a bracket thing set up because the PGA Tour's fantasy website has it in there. You can get your picks in. I believe Monday morning they're going to draw the groups, which will be fun, and we'll have the bracket figure. They did it on they've done it on PGA Tour Live previously. I hope they're gonna air it again.
Yeah, it's a good watch. I remember that. I think didn't Coach do it last year?
It's the coach. The coach does everything.
Yeah, I think he did it.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, the coach pulling out little ping pong balls saying, "And now Jordan Spieth is going to battle Matt Wallace."
The pick is in.
I still think they should let players choose.
That would be sick.
Not like actually say names. Like I want Taylor Moore.
Oh man.
And let the live boys in.
They're not in, are they?
No.
I wish they were.
I know.
No.
It would be fantastic. It would be awesome.
That would be sick.
Let them play.
Especially if the finals came down to like Rory versus Dustin Johnson. Cam Smith.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
best player of all time, I think. Somebody said this in the chat. Patrick and I were talking about this today actually too. I'm fascinated to see if they let any of the live guys do was it you and I that were talking about this, Patrick?
Yeah, Phil.
If they let any live guys do a press conference at Augusta. It would only be what, Phil and DJ maybe?
Reed.
They're not gonna let him, right? No, they wouldn't have him do a presser.
I don't think they will, but I think they should.
I think they should too. I think it would be it would I mean, that's a selfish request because for us it would be content for like years. Just anything that's said in that specific environment, especially from somebody like Phil, is going to be mega news. But I think it would be really kind of interesting as well. And there would be great questions. It would be fascinating to see how Phil would navigate that.
Yeah, especially after not playing last year too. I feel like you got to throw Phil up there.
Well, they could at least offer. I mean, Phil could just say, "No, I'm not going to do it."
And I think Phil, he would have a hard time saying no to something like that.
I think he would too. I think he would be like, "Okay, I could do this." He's his own PR guy. He's his own crisis management squad. He's his own everything.
And he did one at the U.S. Open when everything was still super fresh.
Yeah.
That was so weird too. That was the weirdest press conference of last year. And I think in some ways Augusta rolling him out there would be a little bit like Okay, we'll give you enough rope here,
Right.
to
Do
do it to yourself.
Do what you will.
Yeah, exactly. And so it wouldn't be like they're not throwing him a bone. I mean, it would be wild. I mean, are they going to have Cam Smith do a presser, the reigning Open champion, somebody who's finished in the top 10 in like 3 of the last 4 Masters?
Okay, that's the thing. Like, he would normally have a spot. Like, you could argue, obviously Phil's a past champion, very popular, but Cam Smith would obviously be on the schedule coming back to Augusta National. So yeah, offer him an invite. I'm not saying roll Patrick Reed out there because I want to hear what he has to say. You know what I mean? Just Cam Smith.
Yeah, I just don't think Augusta National wants the Masters to be about the Masters, right? And so anything, although they gave Tiger pressers after like some of his like craziness, right?
Yeah.
So it's not unprecedented. Not that it's not the same thing, but it's the same concept of like the Masters wants the Masters to be about the Masters, and rightfully so. But we've seen instances in the past where they've given guys press conferences that you knew it was not going to be about the Masters. So there is precedent there.
We're only like 21 days away. Or
I know.
Something outrageous. Okay. Anything else, gents?
Do we know who won the team live for our standings?
Was it my High Flyers?
When I checked in early, they were winning.
When you checked in earlier, I forgot what team I had. So
here we go. The team standing. Who won the actual? They were in a playoff. Danny Lee. Danny Lee wins a 4-way playoff against Carlos Ortiz, Brendan Steele, Louis Oosthuizen. The team scores. Congratulations to the Fireballs, who I don't think any of us have. No. Second was the Four Aces. I don't think any of us have them, right? Ironheads. Still nobody?
No.
Stinger GC.
I think we gave them to Mark.
Oh, because he's the South African boys?
Yeah, so Greg, if you want one, just claim one.
I would take the Fireballs, Greg.
Yeah, okay, Fireballs.
Congratulations, Greg. The Fireballs are in the books. Ripper GC finished 5th. That's you, Patrick.
Who's the most likely to wear their live gear at Augusta?
Patrick Reed.
Come on, yeah.
Don't they have to?
I don't know. I mean, I think DJ's a good litmus test because DJ kind of does what he wants, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think
it was talked about as being part of their, in their contracts.
Yeah, I don't know. I've seen it both ways.
I feel like DJ's contract's a lot different than Patrick Reed's contract is.
I would hope so.
That's just my opinion. The High Flyers KP finished 6th for you.
Okay.
Torque in 7th. The Range Goats in 8th. My Crushers did not have a very good week. They finished 9th. Smash GC in 10th. The Cleeks, tough time to be a Cleeks fan, 11th. And Majestics, I think I saw somebody on Twitter say this. You got to start reconsidering the 3-captain thing if you're going to finish 12th. They need one guy to rally around. This is not good for team golf.
Yeah, if you got 2 quarterbacks, you got none.
You got 3 captains, you got none.
Yeah, the Magic Sticks are struggling.
That's right. They are. Match play next week. Love the match play. We will talk about its future, and I will debate the merits of a match play major, but that will come next week.
I'm going down there. Should be fun.
Ooh, all week?
Tuesday, Wednesday. So pressers and then first part of the event on Wednesday. So that's always I think the most. I don't know if it's the most exciting. It's like I think it's the most anticipation. You get to see like who's playing who, and it's kind of fun to be out there. So I'm pumped about it.
Boots on the ground. We'll have boots on the ground. I'm gonna book a flight. You're gonna make me just want to get down. Boots on the ground. Kyle Porter coming to you from Austin Country Club. All right. Big thanks to producer Josh does all the hard work behind the scenes. Patrick McDonald, find him on Twitter at Amateur Status. Greg DuCharme at The Real GFD. Kyle Porter at Kyle Porter CBS. And you can find me at Rick Run Good. This has been The First Cut. We'll catch you next time.